Well, welcome back to Cover Clan Travels. What we're going to cover during this particular video is looking at prescriptions and medical care on a world cruise to see what the options are, what's covered, what's not covered, and we're going to use the Oceania 2026 World Cruise as our example case, or our case study would be the better word, to explore prescriptions and medical care. So here's the agenda that we're going to use. We're going to talk a little bit about medical care on the cruise ship, talk about prescriptions, and then finish up with the importance of um, travel insurance and then a summary. And leave it to AI to help generate a crazy picture of what medical care on a cruise ship is not. There is not an ambulance. There is not with a helicopter wings. There is not a helicopter hovering nearby in case you need medical care. There's a small facility and lab with a doctor that will do the most they can, but depending on what your medical condition is and what happened, this may be a life or death situation, and so you've got to take appropriate preparations. But what you see in the picture is not what's going to happen on a cruise ship, and proper planning is what you want to do before the cruise to make sure that you're taken care of during the cruise if an emergency or medical situation occurs. All right, so a little bit of background. First, looking at Medicare, Tricare, and other medical insurance. So Medicare is what at least most Americans have, 65 and older, and it does not cover healthcare received outside of the United States. Now, there are some fringe cases associated with Canada and Mexico and how far offshore you are, where they will cover. But for the World Cruise, the case study that we're using, it's not going to apply for 99% of the cruise. So that's not viable. Tricare, which is what the military uses, it generally does cover medical care received on the cruise ship up to whatever Tricare's definition of normal and customary fees. And then you're responsible for the rest of that bill, which may be substantial. And then finally, emergency evacuation from a cruise ship may exceed $100,000. And so the travel insurance is heavily or highly recommended to cover at least that expense if it's life and death and you've got to be evacuated so that you can cover that cost. And again, kudos to AI. I was using Adobe Firefly to generate the image and it came up, with the anguish as the money all flies away. Um, Another crazy image, but this gets into what are the things that Oceania is offering, and it's not what's in the picture. What Oceania includes in the World Cruise price is complimentary onboard medical consultation, and then also assistance with travel insurance claims, assuming you have travel insurance. So the consultations are important. That does not include lab work. It does not include prescriptions, does not include any of the fee-based services from the onboard medical facility. So there are some services here though, and I'm happy to see those because those will help. They've also got a supplemental medical package, and that's new this year. It just came out in 2025. And for the 180-day World Cruise for $1,350 a guest, they will provide coverage for medical center visits, admissions, fee-based medical services, including lab work. And if the ship's doctor prescribes a medication, then they will cover that cost. So I think that's really quite reasonable in terms of providing a lot of convenience and making it very, very easy to do so. What they don't cover, however, is emergency evacuation and onshore medical care, which may be necessary. And so you're going to have to get travel insurance. And if you get travel insurance, the travel insurance up to a point is going to cover what the supplemental medical package is covering. So there is a convenience package, and I can see some people agreeing to take the supplemental. For us, my wife and I, we will not. We have Tricare. It will cover at least part of the fees that are based on the ship if we need it, and will cover part of the fees off the ship, and we have travel insurance on top of that. So we think we're okay, but I applaud that Oceania is offering this supplemental medical package, because for some travelers that's going to be a great fit. For your prescriptions, before you leave, there is a kind of yellow brick road, if you will, that allows you to get 6 months of prescriptions at a time. And so the way that works is, first, you need to talk with your doctor, and hopefully you're seeing your doctor before you go on a world cruise, to make sure that they're aware of the cruise, how long it's going to be, and your need for a stock of prescriptions to last that cruise. You then need to talk to your pharmacy so that they're aware, and then ask them to prepare to do what's called a prescription vacation override. Okay, and then and this is something that they routinely do when there is a long vacation. Then third step is start to build up a reserve of medications to last you until the cruise date. Okay, because what you want to be able to do is get to the cruise date without dipping into your stockpile of medicine that you need to get up to whenever your departure date is. Get three more steps. About 2 months out, what you want to be able to do is have a doctor place a normal 3-month prescription resupply and then immediately fill all of it. So in my case, we're leaving January 6th, beginning, talking to the pharmacy, the beginning of October, we're going to have the doctor place the normal 3-month prescription refill, or, 1 month's medication with 2 or 3 refills associated with it. As soon as we immediately fill all of that, we then go back and talk to the pharmacy and request that prescription vacation override and say, this is how much medication I've already got stockpiled. Here's my gap that I need for a prescription vacation override. The pharmacy will call and talk to the doctor, make sure they're aware of it and approve it, and then they'll immediately fill all of it. And then what you have to do is you have to transport now 6 months or so of medical supplies. So you want to split that between you and your spouse or partner in the carry-on luggage, because it's the most precious thing you're carrying those prescription drugs, and move it forward. And the other alternative is to take advantage of the luggage forward capability that comes with the World Cruise, to perhaps put some of it in there and move that forward. Last thing I'm going to kind of talk about talk about two things before we get into the summary, is even if you were to purchase the supplementary medical services package, travel insurance is highly recommended to cover the medical evacuation and overseas emergency treatment if it occurs. Now, Oceania does offer travel insurance that does that at 10% of the cruise cost. You can find better deals with other reputable companies out there. At the end of the day, my wife and I used our AAA membership and their partnership with Alliance, and I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that, so I apologize, for travel insurance, and that was at about 8.5% of the cruise cost to cover not only the medical evacuation in the overseas, but if there was a ship interruption, a whole bunch of lost luggage, a whole bunch of different things that could go wrong, death of a family member, that the travel insurance would actually cover it. So I encourage you to look at travel insurance, and it is expensive on a world cruise, but I do believe you need it. You're really rolling the dice with your health if you travel without travel insurance. And if you're looking at your credit card to provide that coverage, it's not going to be enough. Haven't mentioned dental. Emergency dental care may be a component of your normal dental insurance. Check it. It is included typically in travel insurance, but there are really heavy limitations on it. And for us, it's up to $750 is covered for emergency dental care. Obviously, you want to make sure your teeth are in excellent condition and repair prior to the travel. All right, that brings me to the summary. Oceania is offering medical consultation. You can buy a supplemental package. I talked through a mechanism for doing prescription refill using the magic code prescription vacation override as part of this process. And you should consider travel insurance to cover the potentially high costs of medical evacuation and overseas treatment that normally is not covered in your US based medical insurance. Well, look at that. We've covered a important topic here at Carver Clan Travels. Hope you've enjoyed the video. If you did, please subscribe. If not, I look forward to seeing you in the next video.